Hey, welcome back to the rest of our details in perspective. I always start with big details like additions and doorways, and then I move to smaller and smaller details. So we're at the point where we're going to start doing some smaller details. Let's go ahead and draw a checkerboard. I'm going to go ahead, this is the kind of pattern that I would use for cinder block walls or tiled floors or tiled ceilings. I'm going to go ahead and draw the front of this and divide it up into space. Maybe I'm going to make it line up in the center here, so I'm going to kind of break these up into fourths. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw horizontally across here. So let's see, it's not going to be a perfect checkerboard because I don't have a square here, but I'm going to try to make it look regular or even. Okay, so I have a checkerboard on the front without really using perspective, and then I need to think about if it's on the underside what this would look like. So I'm going to go ahead and take these lines here and I'm going to take them to the vanishing point. You might notice that since the sides of it went to the vanishing point, this would follow the same direction. Now, there's a way to kind of figure this out to make it look like it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, make it perfect, but I'm just going to go ahead and eye it. I just want to make sure that each of these segments start to look like they're getting closer and closer together because it's getting farther away. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little tick mark, and I want the spaces to get smaller and smaller and smaller in between. So I'm just kind of doing this visually, because a lot of times we can't really count how many ceiling tiles, or it's not even necessary because we just get the idea of ceiling tiles or floor tiles. So I'm keeping these horizontal, and they should be getting closer and closer and closer as they get farther away. Right? That's the whole illusion of depth here. Now I could shade these in every other if I wanted to, but I don't think it's necessary to get across that idea. Okay. On the bottom one, we're going to go ahead and put a circle. Mine is a square, and so I'm going to do that there, so it'll be a perfect circle. If yours isn't, and yours is a rectangle, you can make an oval, or you could fix it and make it into a square if you wanted to take the time. What we first have to do a circle is we actually need to find the center. And this would be what you would do if you were going to draw any geometric shape, like a triangle or a diamond. So to find the center, the easiest way isn't to actually measure. Instead, it's just to draw an X. So if I draw an X from corner to corner, I can find the exact middle of the side, and then just for my own ease, I'm going to go ahead and put a crisscross in it as well, or a cross, so that I have a grid. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch in a circle on the top section, or in this front section, I should say. And so I'm going to try to draw in a circle. You can take a little bit of time to get it to be pretty good. My hand's on a weird angle here. Falling off the edge of the board here. Okay. So I've got a circle shape, and if that circle was like a pothole or a manhole cover or a chair in the distance, we have to think about how that circle would become an ellipse. So we're going to repeat the same process. We're going to find the center. Notice my diagonal lines are not going to the vanishing point because it's not necessary for this. I'm going to take this point here through the center, and that will go to the vanishing point. That was part of the cross, the vertical part. Now it's diagonal. Then this part goes horizontally across. And now what I'm going to do is, whatever is in this quadrant here, I want it to do about the same amount of space here. You can see that because we're doing this in perspective, that this is a much smaller than it was on the front. Then here, I'm going to go ahead and draw it, and this should look bigger because this is kind of a stretched out shape. So depending on where and how much space you have, yours might look something like this if this is a real small space here on the front. So like if you had, you're taking it back in the vanishing point, right? It could be really, really skinny and squashed, right? So it all depends on how close or how far away it is from the vanishing point, as well as how big you made this space. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to make some lettering And I'm going to go ahead and do that on the one on the center. If I were going to do any text, I would always give myself some guidelines. So I'm going to do the bottom and the top line, so like ruler lines. I'm going to go ahead and take it to the other side to the vanishing point on the wall here, so I know where the top and the bottom of the letter is. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my horizon here because I didn't make it exactly in the center. So what I'm going to do here is actually draw myself those little rule lines like when I was in kindergarten and I was trying to do good penmanship. I'm going to actually find the middle of it as well. Okay. And notice this slants back to the vanishing point when it's on the left side. So I normally just do my initials, but I'm going to actually write the word cat this time. So what I'm going to do is in block letters, I'm going to go ahead and try to draw a C, an A, and a T. Now, you could use your ruler, which I probably will do in just a second for the T. You want to make it look as clean and professional as possible. Right. So use your ruler as much as you can. I didn't really show it there, but a lot of times what I like to do is I like to start in the middle of the word so that I get good placement for it. So we'll do that on this other one. So if I want to place this A in the center of this side, I need to find the middle. Now I could eyeball it and say, okay, that's the center, but probably that's not really the center. So one of the things I could do is actually prove it. I could actually draw an X, and I normally do it really, really lightly. I could do it here. I could also do it here. Notice how no matter where it is on here, because it goes from side to side, it actually finds the same middle. So what I'll do now is I'm going to put my A in there. Notice it's going to be smaller because it's on the side that's going to the vanishing point. This top part of the A needs to slant to the vanishing point in order to look correct. This part slants to the vanishing point. The bottom of it slants to the vanishing point, right? It follows that line. Okay. Now to do the C, it's going to get really squashed, just like we did with that ellipse, right? So it's going to look a little bit smaller. Okay. The top of the T is going to slant to the vanishing point. Okay, so now we have a letter that looks like it's going back into space. I think that's going to be enough for you guys.